All right, welcome everyone to today's webinar. My name is Kim Lytle. I'm the Assistant Dean for Research in the College of Education and Human Ecology. And we've had a lot of questions from graduate students in terms of how they are supposed to create and submit proposals, and even just funding opportunities. And so we thought this was a great opportunity to make some of that information available to graduate students specifically. I want to tell you that this webinar is supposed to last for 30 minutes, but it's going to be longer. But just because we've added some extra information, you can of course leave or stay the entire time, but we will send out the recording so you can go ahead and go back and listen to what you might have missed. All right, so let's go ahead and get started. So what are we going to do today? We're going to cover some implications for not following the rules, and there are lots of rules both at Ohio State, at departments, at college levels, as well as at the sponsors themselves. Who you would go to in your college for guidance, and we have like 7 colleges represented today, and that's wonderful. Cover basic info on OSU policies and processes for proposal development, and then review the proposal requirements for a variety of funders, just to give you an idea of the breadth of requirements that those funders, the kinds of documents that those funders are looking for. And I know you've all heard the old saying about fishing and teaching somebody to fish and all that stuff. Well, hopefully we're going to teach you how to fish today so that you can find your own funding opportunities and that they can be very specific to your research interests and what you're looking for. So let's talk about unintended consequences, and I had thought about leaving this to the very end of the webinar, but I think it's really important to hit at the beginning, middle, and end. So first of all, if you create a proposal and submit it, and all on your own, you don't include Ohio State, your department, your college, there can be some things that happen, and some of them are most of them are unintended. But the very first bullet there is probably the best scenario, that you've been funded, but nobody knew about it at Ohio State, and then the funder comes back to you and says, okay, I want to give you some money. But they're not going to give you the money. They want to give the organization that you're associated with the money, and that's a good thing. But what happens is that you've not followed all of the processes that are required, and so then you might have to go back and get PI status, and you have to fill out this form that allows Ohio State to accept the money on your behalf, and that can take a month or more. And so here you have this money, but it's just sitting there and you can't get at it. But you can get at it at some point. It's just those things that should have been done up front are done after the fact. Sometimes let's say that you accept this money, you might have to pay taxes on it. That's why you want Ohio State to accept the money on your behalf. Your liability increases if you accept money and not Ohio State. So always keep that in mind. Sometimes we've had students accept awards and they've lost their tuition and fee waivers, or Ohio State has waived out-of-state fees for one reason or another, and all of a sudden those end up being charged again. And probably the worst scenario is that you've worked and slaved over this proposal, and what happens is when that funder comes to you and comes to Ohio State looks at the terms of the award, and Ohio State cannot accept that for you. So you cannot accept that award at all. So I am trying not to scare you, but to really emphasize how important it is for you to talk to people at the department, college, university level so that you know what the possibilities are in terms of unintended consequences. So who can help you navigate these waters? And so even though I'm in the College of Education and Human Ecology, we've asked folks from across the university to give us information. So this is for if you're in the College of Arts and Sciences, and quite a few of you are. They recommend that you, of course, start at your advisor or at your center or your department level. Talk to your graduate advisor. See what they know. Perhaps somebody else has been funded through that same opportunity. And if you cannot get the answers that you need, then you need to talk to Jared Port, and he is in the Office of Research. And I can't imagine why he put that picture on there. It looks like it might even be snowing. God help us. Okay, so if you're in the College of Vet Med, you also have a grant support office, and you can read those yourself. Distribute funds. So there's funding opportunities that they will help you identify. They'll help you with budgets and so on and so forth. And the person that you would contact would be John Robinson, and he's the Senior Grants and Contract Specialist in Vet Med. So Pam, we have a guest speaker from Food, Ag, and Environmental Science, and since she's here, I would like for her to talk a little bit about her grant development support unit.
Well, yes. Good morning, everyone. So I am a grants coordinator within the GDSU. That's the shortened part of how we call ourselves. We are here to help faculty, staff, students, anyone that is looking to submit a proposal. Now, we are a free service to any CFAES person. If you have any questions at all, like Kim stated, it is good to go to your department level, your graduate advisors, those kind of people, but we are certainly here to answer questions as well. So by all means, reach out to us. We do also have an amazing website that Kayla Arnold just redesigned. There's a lot of good information for not only CFAES folks, but anybody out there. So feel free to visit that website. Feel free to contact any one of us. There's Lori Kaser, Melissa Burant, and myself and Kayla Arnold. So please give us a call. We're happy to help you folks.
Thanks, Pam. Okay, and then we have Office of Research in the College of Education and Human Ecology, and Neil and Bing will be speaking in just a little bit, but these folks, just like in all the other colleges, are here to help not only faculty and researchers, but students as well. We have a couple other colleges represented, and I am still figuring out who exactly those folks would be that you contact, but I will absolutely get that information out to the folks that registered, and you'll expect that information very soon. All right, so let's talk about the pieces, parts, and the actual process of pulling together proposals and the submission process in terms of the funder, but also OSU. And so Neil Kelly, one of our grants managers in EHE, is going to actually talk a little bit about this.
Thank you, Kim. So, like anything in OSU, there is a process. We need everyone to kind of follow it, make life easy. So your first, Kim touched on this earlier, your first move, please speak with your faculty advisor. Discuss, is this opportunity a good fit? Is there something better out there? Your next move, you really need to notify the grants office or sponsored program officer at the Office of Sponsored Programs. If you're thinking about submitting a proposal, either internal or external, in the College of Education and Human Ecology, you'll be talking with me or my colleague Bing Tian. Very important that all parties are informed of what's going on and what is needed, what kind of assistance you need. We'd also like for you to set up an appointment with your grants manager if you're in Vet Med, Food Ag, whatever. We also provide, if you can provide the grant manager with a copy or a link to the request for proposals or applications that you're responding to. And then you got to read the document. You know what OSU and the sponsor requires for this submission. We can help you interpret that. So when you start writing your proposal, please remember this fact. You're not alone. You don't have to do it alone. There are many resources to guide you along the development process. Sometimes Bing and I will get heavily involved with helping you develop the budget and the budget narrative. The other grants managers within the university will develop your budget. Please note, we're going to require some input from you. Same with the budget narrative. We can initiate probably the first draft of that budget narrative, but there are details only you can provide, so we just ask that you work with us. Bing, you want to jump in and take this over?
All right. Thanks, Neil. Just to continue on what Neil just shared, budget development is a key step in putting together a grant application. So please do come to Neil or myself for help early on. We not only want accurate figures in the budget, but also make sure all cost items included in there are allowable and appropriate. Yeah. So we can meet the sponsor's requirements in each and every way. Just a second. My screen get sorry. Something was wrong with my screen. Okay. This slide shows some key parts of a proposal when you prepare your application. Normally, sponsors would require abstract of your research, personal statement, work plan or research plan, budget, CV, letter of recommendation, etc. But keep in mind that each sponsor is different, so the documents they require may not be the same. So we must read through the RFA or program announcement carefully, so we'll make sure to give them what they ask for. Okay. Here, next a few slides, we have some examples of graduate student awards by a few major sponsors. This is this is NIH Dissertation Award, pre-doctoral fellowship. We can just take a quick look at those items we have here. When we package our application, it's the NIH. Next slide is the NSF, Graduate Research Fellowship Program, GRFP. There's a bullet points here. Shows the major components. Of course, they will ask for other like application forms. Put your contact info, whatever. Yeah, there. Yeah, this is just the key parts here. This one is the AERA dissertation grant programs. They all look similar, but there are certain specific items like with the AERA, like conceptual models, statistical models. Yeah, it's not required in other two sponsors we just saw before. Spencer Foundation, dissertation fellowship programs. Yeah, we just keep this info, when you want to find any examples later on, you can just come back to the slide. Okay. Submitting your application. Oftentimes, we will need to complete an EPA 005 form, which is an authorization for seeking external funding. It's a formal name, but we always call it EPA 005. And get approval from your department, college, and university for your submission. This is a link here, but this is not always the case. Okay, you need to fill out this form. For some sponsors, for example, the NSF GRFP program is an exception. With this sponsor and this program, the student will apply for the funding on its own through FastLane without involving the university. And if awarded, the funds will go into students' financial aid account rather than come to OSU account. Excuse me. In this case, a student will deal with NSF directly, and the university has little involvement in this funding. Okay. Most grant applications are being submitted electronically these days, and the paper copies are very rare. Some sponsors require proposal to be submitted through specific systems, like Cailloux for NIH submissions, NSF, they require a FastLane. Okay, if you never heard about these systems or terms, you're not familiar with them, it's okay. Don't worry about it. We'll help you out, when we work together on your application, and we'll just navigate this system together. Okay. Next slide. So as we always tell our students, the bottom line when it comes to applying for funding is one, start early, so we have sufficient time ahead, to resolve any possible issues down the road. Second, talk to grants managers, Neil or Bing, if you are in EHE. And three, comply with or just follow the instructions, the guidance, the RFA, to be sure you are not missing or mistaking anything in your application. Next section will be funding. Hey, Kim, you want to take over?
Yes, thanks so much, Bing and Neil. And so now we're going to talk about funding sources for graduate students. So first of all, there is lots of internal funding from Ohio State. There are fellowships, there's grants, and then of course there's college level opportunities as well. And so these fellowships, the Presidential Dissertation Fellowships, these are they're held twice a year. There's this Patrick Osmer SROP. Those are summer research support. Of course, there's Pelotonia. So those are fellowships, and you've already gotten this PowerPoint, so you can always just go into the PowerPoint and click on those links. There's also grants. There's alumni grants. There's Fulbrights. I'm sure you've all heard of those. The Mershon Center and the Office of International Affairs have study abroad, international types of funding. And then there's college level opportunities. And so we had a question here from Young Zhu. Can an international student get a grant? Sometimes, again, there are, sometimes it's yes and sometimes it's no. You just have to read the fine print in any submission, the directions, the requirements. So, so just make sure that you read. Of course, I'm trying to read the chat as well. Oh, okay, so Anna says that current graduate students are not eligible. So that one is just for incoming graduate students. I didn't realize that, but look at that link. There's lots of things, both of those links, lots of information. And you can find the details, of course, if you read the fine print. Okay, so in terms of college level opportunities, I've listed a few from the College of Education and Human Ecology. There are international research support, there's scholarships. We have in the Office of Research a student travel grant, a matching program, and we also have dissertation fellowships. And you can click on those links. And now, Pam, let's get you back on board, and I want you to talk about your SEEDS program.
Okay, so our SEEDS program is through OARDC. It is open to any graduate student. The next funding opportunity will be, the deadline is February 14th of 2018. And honestly, folks, it's really not too early to get started on your thought process of what you're thinking about, reading through that RFP and the different needs that are there. I encourage you to do that with any funding opportunity that you're looking at. Start early, read through that RFP, reach out and ask questions. But the SEEDS program is a wonderful opportunity for you. The person who manages that is Melissa Burant. She's actually at the Farm Science Review today, or else she would be presenting these slides. But if you have any questions at all, don't hesitate to reach out to one of us. We'll certainly guide you and get you through that process. So I encourage you to think about submitting to this solicitation.
So Pam, there's a little back and forward arrow down on the bottom of the slides. As a presenter, you have control of those. Did you want to maybe say something specifically about this slide or maybe this slide? And if you want to go back and forth, you sure can.
Oh, okay. I apologize. I didn't realize I could do that.
I realized I didn't tell you. I'm sorry.
Yeah, okay. So again, I am not the person that manages this, but as you can see on the slide that Kim has up right now, the awards are up to $5,000 for an individual or $10,000 if you go together as a team. And I believe a team is 2 or more of you. So definitely think about doing that. And again, the deadline is February 14th. So Valentine's Day. But yeah, please reach out to us. We'll be happy to work you through that. And I think that's all I have right now.
Okay,
Yeah.
Wonderful. All right, so I also wanted to talk about Buckeye Funder, and I think many of you are familiar with crowdsourcing and GoFundMe and those kinds of opportunities, and Buckeye Funder is Ohio State's version of that, and you can find it at buckeyefunder.osu.edu. And again, teams of students can come together, and what you do is you come up with a campaign, you actually pull together a team, and you submit your ideas to Buckeye Funder, and if you're accepted, they will run your campaign for 30 days, and of course alumni come in. You know, they look, and a lot of times the money is coming from alumni, but please check that out if you're interested in, and especially if you have something that's not typical to what the feds would be looking for, maybe even another organization. So in terms of those other organizations, of course there's foundations. Bing looked at AERA, and Spencer was looking, he showed you what the different requirements were for the documentation for those submissions. But there's lots of foundations, and professional organizations are all the time giving money to students. It could be a travel award. It could be some sort of award to even present at the conference. And so please look at your professional organizations. Look what possibilities that they have for students. All right, so back to the federal funding opportunities. I know a lot of folks in arts and sciences get funded through the GRFP program every year. We have had a few folks in education that have also gotten an NSF Graduate Research Fellowship. Please look into this. This will pay basically for 3 years of your schooling. I think it's 3 years. I don't think it's 4. But what they do is they pay you a stipend and your tuition and fees, and you can, if you're just getting started, this is the thing for you. And I want you to, all these social science folks out there, it's not just for the hard sciences. I think that's a misconception from NSF. They, people think, oh, you know, that's the hard sciences, and it's not. They fund psychology, social sciences, STEM education and learning, economics. There's an entire program called social and behavioral research in economics. So please don't ignore NSF. And also NIH has 2 series, 2 mechanisms, the F series and then the dissertation R series. Dissertation Year Award, and if you, you know, it's amazing, I think, to people that they have these conceptions that that program would not fund what I do. So really get in there and look at those descriptions, and you never know what the match could be. All right. And so just a couple resources. First of all, I don't know if any of you have heard of the Research Methodology Center. It's a center that's located in the College of Education and Human Ecology, but the point and the mission of the RMC is to actually support faculty and students in their methodology journey. And so if you have questions about your research plan or methodologies and you need help, contact the RMC, and you can see that they've got open consulting hours, and they're over in the Research Commons, and they would love to speak to you and can support that methodology section. Okay, and then also EHE, we've put together a database of funding opportunities, and graduate students can go in here. If you go to the advanced search, you can actually click on the audience, which would be graduate students, and then you can see what opportunities we found that are still active and that would be appropriate for graduate students. So, Jeff Agnoli from the Office of Research is working very hard. He's having some technical problems, and I sure hope he is here. Let's give me 1 minute. I'm going to pause the recording. All right, so this is our last slide, and it's about the SPIN Funding Opportunities Database. We were going to have a guest speaker, Jeff Agnoli, from the Office of Research, but he's having some technical problems. We'll go ahead and get that SPIN webinar scheduled in the next month or so. But just to know that there is a funding opportunities database that Ohio State pays for and that you really should take advantage of. And what you can do is create a profile, and you put in your eligibility information, such as you're an international student, maybe you're looking for travel awards, maybe you're looking for you know, specific kinds of funding. Maybe you want to go do research internationally. There's lots of things that you can pick, and what happens is when there's an opportunity that that is entered into the database, you get an email saying here is a new funding opportunity, which is so incredibly helpful. And the profile, what's wonderful is not just huge browse lists, but that you can be very, very specific in terms of that profile. And so I sure hope you'll take advantage of this tool. You can, in this blue box here, you can click here to schedule a funding opportunity. Again, visit this page. It is a wiki page. And then you can click on that page to schedule a funding consultation. And at the bottom of this page here, you can see Ethan Barnhart. He's another person that you can contact as well. Well, thank you so much for coming. All of these resources will be available on our website, but we will also send all of these out to the folks that registered for this event. Thank you so much and hope you have a great day. Bye-bye.